regulation has a role, but regulation ultimately is about compliance, and it's not always a one-size-fits-all. So it's really, it's important that business take their own responsibility and identify what are the priorities for their business and their stakeholders. I think what's interesting with stakeholder expectations is obviously each stakeholder group will have the issues that are more important for them, and the real value comes from when you're hearing the same message across the different stakeholders.
I think the net zero policy is one of the biggest policy drivers, and certainly one of the biggest policy drivers is going to be for the next 30 years because it goes into every aspect. And so it needs to be forefront of everybody's mind all of the time, because everything you do that doesn't go to net zero, you're going to have to undo it before 2050. So it is a really important thing. And we was having a conversation when we set up our net zero services team, talking to other lawyers in the firm. And one lawyer said to me, I get it, we're all net zero lawyers now, because it's that important to everything that we do.
I think one of the biggest changes that we've seen is actually the change amongst all of us, the ultimate consumers of energy, and the people who put money into the pension funds, many of whom are involved in investing in infrastructure, including energy infrastructure. There's an awful lot more engagement, I think, at sort of ground level, if you like, much more interest in what are the brands that we all know and love doing to protect the environment that we live in, and indeed what are our governments and our municipal authorities doing about that. We've seen local councils across the country announce climate emergencies, but what is it that they're doing? And we've seen in cities like Bristol, we've seen the council engaging in its really ambitious City Leap project to try to decarbonise the city. We're seeing local authorities buying renewable energy assets as part of their energy contracting strategies, but also in response to their own climate emergencies, and seeing that as a way that they can help develop the market. Because, of course, if you're buying a renewable energy asset, you're creating demand, which is encouraging others to construct other plants. And so what's really important there is that you're also involved in what's called additionality, which is where you're actually your activities and the way that you structure your investments is encouraging the development of new assets. You're not just buying power from existing assets.